really liked the concept of the original Strangers movie when I watched it more than a decade ago, but since then, the same premise has been executed a million times in movies better and worse than this. So as I watched, I kept asking what this movie could do that hadn't been done before. Yet time and time again, I was proven exactly why this unnecessary sequel, remake, reboot shouldn't have been made. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and I think The Strangers Chapter 1 might just be the most generic horror movie ever made. Before I get into my actual review, I should say that there was one line about us all being sinners that may not have been original, but I still liked. But I think that stuck out so much only because the rest of the movie just didn't work. As for the story, like I mentioned before, the very idea of a simple home invasion has already been subtly twisted by films like Hush by Mike Flanagan. And with this new Strangers movie, there wasn't much to begin with, because Chapter 1 is just the same as the original, at times coming across as a beat-for-beat remake. Starting with some wildly inhuman dialogue where the main couple the audience is being introduced to explains what it is that they were doing and just how much they love each other. It didn't just feel forced, it set me up pretty well for what the rest of the runtime would be. I've also seen better camera placement meant to scare the audience in children's animated movies. As far as the overall scariness went, the movie completely fell flat. In fact, at times, I thought it was pretty funny, but there wasn't nearly enough of that to make the whole thing entertaining. So don't go thinking this is one of those so bad it's good movies. Because if you're looking for a fun, non-supernatural horror movie, steer clear of The Strangers Chapter 1. Because sadly, this is a predictable snooze fest that kinda fizzled out in the end. Not that it matters, but I'll give you a spoiler warning just in case you feel like checking it out. So from here on out, I'm spoiling it all. Even a small part of the original. You have been warned. I understand that with The Strangers Chapter 1, I should suspend my disbelief and accept a lot of the dumb stuff that happened, but there were so many egregious examples of plot holes or bad writing that completely took me out of the movie every time something like that would come up. Such as when one of the main characters feels threatened by someone constantly knocking on their door, rightfully terrified by the situation. So what does she do next? She takes a shower. Was that a mistake in the editing? If not, who wrote this? Or another moment where the same character puts her hand through a nail, and while they know one of the strangers is nearby looking for them, they decide at that very moment to slowly pull it from her palm. Moving on slightly, I want to be clear that while I talk about how I enjoyed the original, I'm not saying it's perfect, or even good, but there is a scene in it where their friend, played by Dennis from It's Always Sunny, comes to save them, and it's built up in the narrative. And that exact scenario happens in this movie, except because in the original it is actually set up more than once or twice that he is coming to rescue them, the audience is clued in for that whole sequence of events. So when he is shot by the main characters, I was left flabbergasted. That movie is more than 10 years old at this point, and I still remember how shocking and upending that moment was. And in trying to recreate that, the filmmakers of Chapter 1 just ended up making something half as good and infinitely less original. If you want to watch a good home invasion movie, just watch The Strangers from 2008, because there is absolutely no reason for you to waste your time with this. But before I wrap up the review, I need to bring up the very end of this movie, because I cannot accurately express how soul-crushing that to-be-continued screen was. But apparently, the sequel to this has already been filmed and is being worked on right now. And when is it coming out? Later this year. That's right, we're in the year of The Strangers and no one even knew. It's the insane release schedule of the Matrix sequels, except no one asked for this. But in all seriousness, there's no way the filmmakers will get a planned trilogy of new Strangers movies that they wanted. But are you willing to sit through another one of these movies? Who knows, the next one might actually be good. I'm willing to give anything a chance, but let me know down in the comments if you are. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.